Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is Roscoe with another episode of DC University. In this episode, we're going to be talking about healing artifacts. I recently got a request for an explanation on some, and I've decided this is probably the easiest way. Instead of just talking about the one artifact, probably talk about all of them. And thinking about this, I decided to kind of set it up with four different groups. You've got your pure healing artifacts, okay. You've got your hybrid ones that usually are DPS with an element of healing, or healing with an element of DPS, and then you've got a PvP, which specifically open world dueling PvP. Obviously, artifacts aren't a factor in arenas. And then, the supercharge artifacts, which play a vital role in some of the healing builds, but they're pretty hard to put side by side and compare because they just do very different things and have very different roles. So I figured I would kind of section them off like that and go over them, and that way it would be maybe a little bit easier to explain and a little bit easier to absorb. So we're just going to start out with the pure healing ones first. These are the more popular ones, and the ones that are a couple of them are a necessity, and you do have to absolutely run with them if you want to be a viable healer in DCUO. The other ones are gimmicky at best, or just they're not what you'd want. Or at least you don't want to spend waste your resources on them. So I'm just going to go over them real quick. First and foremost is going to be the purple healing ray. Healing charges your purple healing ray up to 4 times your total restoration with purple light. Once charged, your next priority or group heal gain new benefits and expends all purple light. When you have a fully charged purple light, your priority heal will heal you and your heal target gain a shield equal to 2 times your restoration, which absorbs 20% of the incoming damage for 8 seconds. It resets the cooldown of the priority and group heal, and it restores 20% of your power. The group heal version of that, which is Carissa's revitalization, it places a heal over time on you and your allies for 8 seconds. And so it's an 8-second hot. Increases heal over time value by 25%, and resets the cooldown of priority heal and group heal, and restores 20% of your power. I know it probably sounds like a lot, but quite simply put, when you are healing, you're going to build up stacks of purple light, and when you are healing with, when your purple light is at max value, it will make your priority heal add a shield to you and your target, and it'll make your group heal add an additional hot on top of the heal. Both of them will reset the cooldowns, and both of them will restore 20% of your power. The thing about this artifact that is so awesome and what makes it like a must-have artifact for healing, it's the restoring 20% of your power. It doesn't take very much to heal an amount that is 4 times your restoration. I'm at I'm at 609,000 in the Halls of Lightning, or Halls of Legends, House of Legends. So 609,000 times 4, you're at 2.4 million. It doesn't take very much to heal 2.4 million in this game now, so you can imagine it procs constantly, and for as often as it procs, you're getting 20% of your return, 20% of your power returned to you. It's a lot. It's a lot of power generation. It's why healers can generate so much power. If you ever look at the power generated column in the info tab of on duty, you know, at the end of a raid or at the end of a group function, the healers always have a bunch of power produced, and this is why, this artifact is why. It goes right back to them. But you can't really, if you have a good troll, you can get, you know, you basically are dependent on them. But nowadays trolls have so much more going on too. Like they still provide power, you know, but they still have to debuff the target. They still have to buff the raid, and they're still providing power. And it's just, and they got to CC. And they got to do pickups, and there's just a lot that trolls have to do. Having this artifact really makes it to where you're not dependent on a troll in the group, and you are basically your own power factory. You know, you're just going to produce it yourself by spamming healing. So it is a must-have in all healing builds. You do not want to heal without Purple Healing Ray. That's why it's the number one artifact that I'm talking about, and it's the number one healing artifact by far. The number two healing artifact is going to be Page of Destiny. Okay, so Page of Destiny is going to, I should read the explanation. When a group heals a player above 40% health, it takes a stack of Revivify. It places a stack of Revivify on the target for 30 seconds and refreshes total duration of existing stacks. If an affected player drops below 40% health, Revivify will be triggered, expending all stacks and healing for an amount based on Revivify's stacks. So what that means is when your target is above 40% health, you're going to place a sort of like a safety deposit, a savings bank of healing on them, and it stacks up to, I think it's 10 is what it said. Yep, stacks up to 10, and that basically that savings deposit will stay there as long as you continue to heal them and they get heals above 40%. It'll keep refreshing it. The moment they go below 40%, it takes that savings bank of healing and immediately casts it on the target. What is so exceptional about this artifact is when Revivify goes off, it's instant, and it can, like a player's health can immediately go to 0, and it will proc, the Revivify will proc, and it will literally save that player from dying, because that savings bank of healing catches, basically it catches and goes off before the player dies. So it's sort of like it sort of like interrupts it, and it's an amazing tool. It's like your backup. It's an automatic backup for your healer, and it makes it far less stressful to heal a raid group, because it's like, no matter what, as long as you're being diligent about healing and topping the group up, you're gonna have a safety net. Now, it'll proc once, and then you have to hurry up and get them back up above 40% health and get them topped up and refill those Revivify stacks. But and if you don't, then they die. But if you can, fill the stacks up quickly, you're gonna always have that safety net there. It's really a wonderful safety net for healing. The raid appreciates it. There's a lot of fights, like right now, the Spindrift Station. The way that I will heal through that fight is I literally in between the bombs, I will just spam heal as much as I can on all the raid groups, or on everybody in the raid group, so that I can top off all of their stacks and know that they all have, like, the entire raid group has 10 stacks. So when the bombs come and it says that we're supposed to die, you know, because somebody missed their mine, or, you know, we didn't stagger enough, or whatever, you know, whatever the reason may be, we don't die. We end up surviving because the Revivify, the safety net, does its job, and it keeps everybody up and keeps them from dying. So that's one of the best ways I've found to heal through that fight. And I'm talking about the Manta one, the first one in Spindrift Station. So it is a number 2 healing artifact. Okay, the first one's Purple Healing Ray. The second one's Page of Destiny. These are the 2 best healing arts in the game. You don't want to heal without them. They are the 2 best ones you want to have. Okay, anything after this, as far as the pure healing go, is purely either situational, or it is it's they're just not as good as the artifacts. The other artifacts are just not as good. They're not bad, but they're not amazing and a necessity like the first 2. The next one I'm gonna talk about, I'm gonna go over here and show you, but truth be told, those are the only 2 pure healing artifacts that I run with. Everything else is going to be a hybrid or supercharge oriented, but those are the 2 that are like must have and will always be in my loadout, in my healing loadout. The next one, and I'm going to talk about, is probably the next best pure healing artifact, and it's nothing special, but what it does for the group is pretty good. So Starheart Fragment, anytime using a group heal grants you and up to 7 group members health equal to up to 12.5% of your restoration. So you use a group heal, you give everybody in the raid a larger health pool. This is good for a number of reasons. You know, it stacks with things like tetrahedron. If you've got a troll in the group that's running that, the larger health pools will basically translate into a larger might buff from Tetra. So that's a synergistic artifact, but that's all it does. It increases the party's health pool. You know, the more health you have, the better chance you have of surviving hits, and sometimes that's the only thing you have is like a little sliver of health left before you get topped up again by the healer. So having an artifact where, you know, you're constantly having a health buff on the raid members is a good thing. You know, I personally don't run with it. I let the troll do that as far as buffing health, but it's some healers run with it, and I think it's worth it, you know, if that's what you want to do. But it's by no means a necessity like the other 2. The next ones I'm going to talk about are just not as good. Okay, we got Orb of Arian. I am not a believer in this artifact. I think it is for when it's an outdated artifact, when the way that healers used to restore power was a lot of weapon damage. This artifact was really good because basically you could send out your spectral acolyte and it would heal for you while you're restoring power via weapon attacks. And you'll kind of understand what I mean by when I read out the description. So Arian's magic increases the effectiveness, cooldown, and power cost of your priority heal by 300%. Upon casting a priority heal, you summon Spectral Acolyte. The Spectral Acolyte casts a priority heal uh, for up to 100% of your base priority heal every 1.5 seconds. So basically, it casts the priority heal for you every 1.5 seconds, while so you could be doing something else. It's like if you could imagine doubling your healing output, but at a cost of 300% additional. So like your power is just gone when you use this thing. The other thing is, okay, the Spectral Acolyte lingers for 12 seconds and cannot be summoned again until it departs. All right, and it resists most crowd control effects. So basically, it's every time you use a priority heal, it's going to spawn this spirit that's going to heal for you. Okay, you don't need a spirit to heal for you. I mean, it is something like it could be used as a cooldown, but since what calls the spirit out is a priority heal, you'd be calling it out pretty regularly, and it means that it just winds up being a huge drain on your power. The way it's supposed to function is you call it out, it heals for you while you go and do something else, and it's very situational, and it's certainly not as viable nowadays, because we don't have to do weapon damage to gain power anymore. We've got wonderful artifacts like Purple Healing Ray to do that for us. We can keep healing and restore our own power. We don't have to do weapon damage. So it's just not I do see there are some healers that'll use it, and they have power issues. They struggle with power, and ultimately I just don't think that they're I think they're hamstringing themselves with this artifact, and then they could actually be much better without it. And the next one, the Clarion, this is not, in my opinion, this is not a healer artifact. This is something like for a tank or support, like a precision DPS maybe, that wants to help and do some additional healing, but it's not worthwhile for a healer to use nowadays. And it's actually more worthwhile for a tank if they so choose, but it's very situational. But the Clarion, using the power Clarion, executing weapon attacks heals up to 4 nearby players with the lowest health for up to 7% of a priority heal, or 7% of your damage that you are doing. All right, this effect temporarily is temporarily empowered when activating your weapon buff. So it goes up to and what it does is it makes it, when you use your weapon buff, it says 30% of a priority heal. So when you use your weapon buff, it makes it 30% of the weapon damage you put out. The next thing it also does is when you do use that weapon buff, targets above 95% health that are healed by the healing output receive a shield for 12 seconds. Now the shield is really good, honestly. When you get this artifact to 200, the shield's pretty nice, and its effectiveness is increased by 100% when you get it up to 200%. Or 200, level 200. Players can only benefit from this once every 30 seconds. So the shield is pretty nice. The shield is a 4-man shield, so it doesn't stack with the Nature's Swarm shield. It doesn't stack with Celestial's, I think like Shield of Righteousness. I can't remember, but it doesn't stack with Celestial. Doesn't stack with Nature. It does stack with other 8-man shields, but not 4-man. It does stack with some 4-man. It's kind of weird, but for sure Nature and Celestial it doesn't stack with. You'll go to use your weapon buff, and then the shield just never shows up because you've got a nature healer in the group and he's already shielded. So sometimes it just isn't available, the shield, but the healing is kind of nice if you can do a bunch of prec damage, but you're not going to be doing that as a healer. So that's why I say it's classified as a healing artifact, but it's not anymore. So don't use it. Trust me. Don't. The next one is demon. Actually, we'll save that for later. So those are the ones that I just went over. So Purple Healing Ray, Page of Destiny, Orb of Arian, Starheart Fragment, and the Clarion are sort of pure healing. Well, you know what? I don't even want to say the Clarion. Clarion's not even a pure healing one, but it's classified as one. But let's say for this video, we're calling it a we're gonna call it a hybrid. Actually, I'm gonna actually put it in the PvP grouping. We're gonna put it in the PvP grouping. So yeah, the Page of Destiny, Purple Healing Ray, Orb of Arian, Starheart Fragment are 4 pure healing artifacts that are going to do nothing but work for a healer to either heal the group or make the group stronger. So the next ones are all the hybrids, and the hybrids are like I said, they are going to be artifacts that help a healer but have a DPS component to it, or they are a DPS artifact that has a healing component to it. And so, you know, usually you'll see these artifacts on healer builds and DPS builds, but there's a reason for it too, because they work very well in both. For starters, we're going to go over what I believe is the #1 artifact in the game. I already did a video over it, so I'm not going to go into too much detail with it, but I'll just explain why it's good for healing. But it's the Purified Pages of the Black. Okay, it buffs everything, but you get a 30% buff in your restoration and a 30% buff in your 30% buff in your restoration, a 30% buff in your dominance, and it also buffs the incoming healing. It's that alone, the 30% buff is such a big stat gain that it's pretty hard to turn down. You just see it when the stacks build up, how much stronger your heals are. So it's quite literally just a power boost to your heals, and it's really easy to deal with as a healer because you're already healing. You know, like, it's not a big deal to manage the damage that it does. It's pretty negligible, especially because you're already using the shields too. It's just like a tank. Like the page's damage penalty is a non-issue for healers and tanks. It's just a very, very powerful artifact that helps all builds and all powers and all classes. Like, it's a must-have. I would put it at, if I had to put them like in a ranking of you need these, it would be the #3 artifact. Okay, for a healer, it'd be the #3 behind Page of Destiny and Purple Healing Ray. So that's the first hybrid one. The second hybrid one is going to be also second in priority, I'd say, or fourth in priority rather. It's going to be Transformation. Transformation card is one of the older artifacts in the game, but still one of the best. You know, just above and beyond the raw stats it gives you, you know, the 3% health, 3% power, 3% resto, 3% might, 3% precision. Like, it's a lot. The 20% critical chance, the gain in 20% critical chance in healing and attacks, the 30% critical magnitude, in healing and attacks, the magnitude is a huge deal. Okay, so when it crits, you know, it adds 30% additional magnitude. So basically, like, it takes whatever your normal output would be, and then because it crits, it doubles it. So then it puts, you put an additional 30% on there, like, your crits start to become really big, far bigger than what the normal tick would be, or the normal heal would be. And even with the penalty of reducing total damage or reducing total healing by 15%, the gains far outweigh the penalty. So transformation is a must-have in any DPS loadout and any healing loadout. You can get by, like, okay, let's say you wanted to do a pure healing, you wanted 4 pure healing artifacts, or rather 3 pure healing artifacts. I would probably take transformation off. That would be the one where I would take that off and replace it with, if you wanted Star Heart Fragment, you could do that. But I wouldn't, though. Like, I'd probably stick with it, because it's just the throughput is undeniable. The next hybrid one is going to be it's the battery. I always forget what the Razor's power battery. Okay, so Razor's power battery is one of the best artifacts in the game. It's probably the number 2. It's definitely the strongest damage artifact, just by sheer damage, and the amount of healing it puts out is also pretty impressive too. So it's very, very useful as a healer. It helps, like, if you want to do like a battle heal build, you can actually help with damage and not have to sacrifice your healing. And it's going to top the raid group off. Like, I've done a video over this one explaining how it works. Healers are gonna healers usually have this thing proc more often than damage does, than a DPS does. So it kind of helps them. I would say it helps them sort of spread the burden of the heal around. The artifact takes on a lot of that. So this would be your probably your number 4 artifact in your healing loadout. Well, actually, it'd be your number 5. It'd be your number 5 if you did Purple Ray, Page of Destiny, then you had Purified Pages, and then you had Transformation, and then you had Battery. That's actually what my my standard loadout is for my healing loadout. If you have that and you've got those, you're basically gonna be a god in healing. Like, things just don't die when you have these artifacts, and you can really just heal through a lot of things. You don't have the power drain that is the Orba Arian. You've got the power plant that is Purple Healing Ray. So you basically, it feels like you have unlimited power. It really does. Let's see, the next hybrid artifact I wanted to talk about is the Strategist card. So Strategist is also an older artifact. It was released when Transformation was. In fact, these two are very synergistic. Strategist is a quiet option, for healers. A lot of healers don't realize that it really does heal, but yeah, and it like Transformation gives amazing stats. You got 4% might, 4% dominance, 4% restoration, 4% precision, 4% vitalization. So the might is nice, but the dominance restoration is what's really appealing for healers. dominance in resto, that's going to determine the amount of dominance in resto you have. Is going to determine the amount your shields absorb. It's going to determine the amount your heals heal for. Some people don't know this, but dominance is part of the equation as far as how healing is calculated. If you go on the stats page, if you go in your inventory menu and then you tab over to the stats and you go to restoration and you click on it, it tells you exactly the formulas or the equations used to determine shield strength and healing, shield and healing. Okay, and notice that it's 150% dominance, 112% restoration for the shields. Okay, and it's 30% restoration and 25% dominance. So basically, restoration is going to have more of an impact on healing, and dominance is going to have more of an impact on the shields. That's why ice tanks will stack dominance and tanks will stack dominance, because they're trying to strengthen their shields, as well as be able to crowd control stuff. So those stats with Strategist card are really nice. Now, the way Strategist works is every time you do, from a healing standpoint, every time you have a critical heal, you have a chance to apply the tactical advantage hot. Okay, so tactical advantage can be a damage ability or it can be a healing ability. It all depends on what procced it. If it was a heal that procced the tactical advantage, then it's going to throw on a hot on your target. If it was a dot, or if it was damage, it's going to throw on a dot. It's essentially another heal over time that is passive. You don't even have to think about it. You just have to heal, and whenever it crits, boop, it'll pop on your target. Actually, let's see if we can we'll get it to proc, and we can see what the actual healing amount is for it. I haven't looked at it in a while, but to give you an idea, like the damage side of it, when I was doing a lot more nature powered DPS with lots of dots, it would be, I think it was roughly 40% of my total damage would be the tactical advantage dot, because it has no internal cooldown. So that means that it can proc as often as you can crit, and it's not a guaranteed proc rate on every crit, but it's fairly substantial. Okay, it certainly procs more often than it doesn't. And let me put it to you that way. But here, I'll throw it on. We can take some damage, and I'll heal myself, and we'll see how it goes. And so, because it procs off of crits, that is why it's so synergistic with transformation, because transformation raises your crits, your crit value, and your crit chance. So transformation causes you to crit more, and so thus causes tactical advantage to proc more often. Okay, and as you level it up, it doubles the proc chance of tactical advantage, and then increases the potency of tactical advantage by 30%. So by the time you get this bad boy leveled up, it's really good. It unfortunately can't keep up with what the battery does and what Pages does. That's just the way it goes with artifacts. Eventually they do kind of become obsolete, and it's not entirely obsolete. It's still a good option. Okay, if you don't have those, and you don't want to use them, maybe you're skeptical about the damage that the Black Book causes, you can still be a very good healer with Strategist card. If I want to just like load up healing, and I'm trying to just churn out the most amount of healing I possibly can, I would take, and it's just raw straight throughput, I would take battery off, and I would put Strategist on. Okay, because the appeal for battery, yes, it does heal, but Strategist will heal more. overall. It just as long as you're spamming. Okay, the thing about battery that's so nice is it's the damage that it also throws out, and it also will buff the raid group when it throws a heal on and they're above 90% health or whatever it is. So anyway, but I would go with strategist if I just want like pure, just massive amounts of heals. Like you can't put enough hots on them. Like if you think about it, you can have with strategist and with the purple healing ray, you can have 2 additional hots going on your targets at any given time when those artifacts proc. So, all right, sorry, I was rambling, but I'll take some damage and then we'll heal and see if we can get it to proc. And I'm going about this probably the worst way for you for me to proc tactical advantage. I'm doing it so that we can see it on the charts, because the ideally, like, so I'll just give you an idea. So if I use, so you see how much faster that goes. All right, when I use all my hots. Now every single one of those has a chance to proc the there it is, there it goes. All right, so tactical advantage, critically absorbed, no, tactical advantage critically healed me for 81,000. So, and that's a tick that will tick for 8 seconds, and that's just off of the tactical advantage healed for 136,000, 133,000, 135,000, 135,000. So it scales. I believe it scales off of your restoration as well. So as your restoration goes up, the amount it heals is also going to go up. So basically, like hots, anything where you have multiple ticks going on every second, the better it synergizes with strategist. So because it's more opportunities for the artifact to proc. You saw that it took forever. It took a while when I was just doing one spam heal at a time. But the moment I went, I loaded all my pheromones on, and all this tick, 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 all of a sudden it pops up and shows, look, there it is again, for healed for 41,000. Now, you're probably wondering, like, is this a power specific artifact? As in, are some powers do some powers benefit more from it than others? Absolutely. Nature benefits from it the most because it has so many hots. It's how nature heals. Everything is a hot. So it has lots of ticks, lots of stacking ticks. Basically every second I can have up to 4 ticks of hots going. So that's 4 chances to crit, and that's 4 crit chances, or four chances to crit, and every one of the crits is a chance to proc the tactical advantage. So it heals a lot. It heals a lot for passively. So it can heal. It can proc off of any type of heal too. So like an AOE, like you could use Clarion if you wanted to, and use strategist, and it would proc off of that. It would actually proc off of both. It would proc off of the damage that you were doing to trigger the heal for Clarion, and also it would proc off of the heal that Clarion would do. So it's a really good artifact. It really is. It's just, like I said, it's not as powerful as the newer ones, and so it kind of gets overlooked, but still very much a very viable healing artifact and a DPS artifact. It's more viable in multi-target. But I digress. The next artifacts we're going to talk about are the PvP ones. Okay, so these are PvP healing artifacts. They do have a place in PvP. They're not viable anymore in a raid setting or really in a group setting, because there are better options. Some people still use them. Those people are not healing raid groups though. They're using them. They're using it to do duels and PvP basically. Because I'll kind of like. So we had Clarion. I kind of explained that one to you. I would lump that one in with the PvP section, because you're basically going to be doing weapon hits anyways on your target. So you might as well generate some healing for yourself at the same time. And it's passive healing. You don't have to do anything. You can just heal yourself and keep like a weapon buff up. So that's the Clarion. The other one is going to be the Demon's Fang. Okay, so Demon's Fang, every 12 seconds hitting an enemy with a weapon attack. So you start to see a bit of a pattern here, a trend. With a weapon attack, empowers your weapon to deal additional damage to your primary target and restores power over time for the next 6 hits. Additionally, damage is equal to, or additional damage is equal to 8.8% of your restoration and 2% of your precision. Okay, and then the power restored over time, which is also restored via your weapon attacks, is equal to 2.4% of your restoration. So this artifact, and 2% of your restoration and plus 1.6% of your precision. Additionally, when affected by a shield and hitting an enemy, restoration is increased by 10% and precision is increased by 6%. So essentially what this artifact does is, if you are a healer and you have yourself shielded and you're doing weapon attacks, you are going to you're going to generate power for yourself, as well as additional damage. Okay, like I was saying, the old way of playstyle in this game was everybody kind of does a little bit of everything. So you would have healers doing things to help out on damage. You would have, tanks doing things to help work on damage, and it doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't. You can focus on being good at one thing, and as a healer, that should be healing, keeping the raid group up. You shouldn't have to prioritize any bit of your time to do weapon damage. Whenever you're a healer, don't ever look at the damage done. Okay, look at the healing output, look at the healing done, and look at the damage taken and the healing done. The numbers should be real close if you're a good healer. But anyway, that's the Demon's Fang. Those are the two PvP trinkets, if you will. The supercharged ones. Okay, now they are not pure healing artifacts, but they are what you would have to have in order to do supercharge spam. And what I mean by supercharge spam, if you have any questions about EOG, I did a video explaining how that works and how that generates supercharge for the group. I highly recommend that you go watch it, because the video is all about that, and it's very much in depth, and it's a good. It really explains the artifact. But if you're going to do a supercharged green spam build, you have to have EOG, because that's where the greens come from, the large green circles, and you also have to have Scrap of the Soul Cloak. Those are the two supercharged healing artifacts that you would have to have. If you're not running EOG, don't use Scrap. It's just not worth it. You're better off using a raw throughput healing artifact. But if you are running EOG and you are doing green spam, you need to have scrap, because the cooldown reduction, the increased capacity to your supercharge pool, all that stuff. It's those are mandatory if you're doing the supercharge build. But that's just basically the quick rundown of those artifacts. Like I said, some of them are not as viable as they used to be. I definitely wouldn't sink my resources into anything other than those main 5 that I discussed. And if you want to do other ones after the fact, yeah, by all means do it and see you might find something out that I haven't considered, but I can tell you for certain that those 5 will not do you wrong, and you will be viable no matter what power, no matter what server or what console. Those are going to be good choices. People are going to look at those artifacts and be like, okay, this guy knows what's up, or this girl knows what's up, or this person knows what's up. So go with those, and I wish you luck. I hope this has helped. Tried to make it quick, but as usual, mine are never quick. So thanks for listening. Please comment with any questions you might have. Like, share, subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. And thank you to all my subscribers. We're up to 81. Woot. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. I'll talk to y'all later.